Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Viking Vitality. I am Coach Beth. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get it out of the way at the beginning. If you like this video, please give it a like. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's something you want me to talk about, I'll do my best. Give us a subscribe and share this video with somebody you think it'll help impact. Or just share it, and maybe somebody will view it anonymously and it'll help them. That is my goal, is to share my knowledge and experience with you guys so that you can create the life that you want to. Better or faster, or however it goes. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the struggle bus, and you hear this a lot, like I'm on the struggle bus this week, I've slept in, I've been late to work, so on and so forth. And I want to talk about the struggle bus in a real, deep kind of way. Like being on the struggle bus happens, life happens. We forget to plan, shit goes sideways, but it's usually something that we can turn around. I want to talk about getting stuck on the struggle bus. Now, I was stuck on the struggle bus starting at least a year ago. I honestly don't remember how long before that I was on it. This is one of the side effects of intense stress and being on the struggle bus too much is really chronic stress can affect your memory, but that's a conversation for another time. So I would say up until the last few months, I was on the struggle bus and slowly getting off of it, if you will. And I'm just going to summarize. A little over a year ago, I wasn't really happy with my work or my marriage or things like that. My mom was sick with cancer, stage 4. And I was quite busy. I had 3 part-time jobs, and then I would also go home. I would travel 12 hours to stay with my mom for an extended period of time to help her around the house, to just be with her. If you have somebody who's had cancer, you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, so that was a 12-hour trip. That in itself was stressful, but always worth it. I don't regret it for nothing. And then right around October is about where shit went real sideways. There was a lead up to this where my husband got a new job and we were going to have to move. So this meant, even though I was kind of unhappy in my work, I was still losing my jobs. I was losing my sense of purpose. So I was having no purpose. And then my friends were going to be gone. Thank God for the internet. I was going to have no purpose. So I have no friends. And soon after that, I had no mom. I laugh. It's not funny. It's a defense reaction. And I'm just glad that I was there at the end with her, even though that was very hard. I'm very glad I was there, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing. So you can see we had some stuff going on here, all right? I was clearly on the struggle bus, and then, we move, and this is a new place. And I've got no friends. I'm grieving. I've got no job. I can't even deal with the concept of having a job. I am having such a hard time, trying to keep myself fit, which I know is weird coming out of the mouth of a coach or trainer, whatever you want to call it. I had been struggling with alcohol for a very long time. Prior to this, honestly, a week after my mom passed away, I stopped drinking for several months because it had gotten to the point where she was worried about me. But we'll talk about that in another episode. All right. So I am just in this hellhole, just this hellhole of grief and a loneliness and and so on and so forth. And thankfully I started to go to therapy. I started to do stuff online. There's a lot of therapy resources and stuff online you can find, and you can take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And as I went through this, I started doing the online stuff. I started actually going to therapy. I started to try to communicate virtually because I didn't have anybody around me, but via the internet, surround myself with people that were doing well, that were, in control of their lives, that were very real. And I one of the biggest things I did was I gave myself grace. about this whole struggle thing about like barely being able to go to the gym, if at all. You know, I was still eating okay. You know, I wasn't drinking, but I mean, just I couldn't even be bothered to get out of the chair. It was just too much. And that happens with grief. No criticism at all. That happens with chronic stress. Okay. So with the grace and the therapy and the learning about myself and the being, you know, the just trying to put things into place where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do a little yoga every day, even if it's super easy, you know, I'm just getting easy, you know, and just putting those things in place slowly but surely. And what I found was all of those things started to build up just a little higher each time. Okay. And it was a slow process. I said, this is at least a year. All right. And I realized that bus that I was on, my little struggle bus, you know, we're just going to draw this little thing here. It's awful. Don't criticize me. That I had been stuck on that struggle bus, and I had come to a place where I didn't have to be anymore. And that's when the steps started to get even higher, right? The thing about being stuck on the struggle bus is that at some point, if you want anything to change, if you want your life to get better, if you want anything other than what you're already getting, you have to get your ass up out of that seat and get off of that bus. And that is easier said than done. I know. That's why I kind of started to tell you guys about the slow things that I started to do. And I continue to do those steps to this day. And I keep making my little extra steps as I feel like I am capable, or I push myself just a little bit to get myself to that next level, right? Because what will happen if you have something like this going on, go through your grief, process it, deal with the hard things as slowly and as small as you need to. Make sure you try to have somebody professional if you're doing something like grief or something like that, if you can, or lots of support. If you allow yourself to stay stuck on that struggle bus, that's where you'll stay. And you'll keep going to struggle town. And what's worse is that if you really stay there, if you really don't commit to making that tiny little bitty change that could push you to that next change, and that little tiny bitty change that you need to perfect, that giving yourself grace that you need to perfect, that's going to get you to that next little thing of giving yourself a little extra discipline, you'll end up driving the bus. They'll employ your ass. And then you can just keep driving yourself to struggle town. You see what I'm getting at here? So, at some point, some kind of hellish fire is going to come down on your life. And you will need to deal with it, assess what is in your control and what's not, and do your best with that. I encourage you to find help, however you can find it, whether it's via some online course or a book or a therapist or a good friend or a priest or whatever. And then start to take those little steps. Usually I think a big one for people is grace. And we talked about that in the last episode, is giving yourself grace when, you know, you fail or you don't go all the way or whatever. It's giving yourself grace and then working at it again. And that's the only way you're going to get off this bus, is to get off of the bus. Stop driving it. I don't care. Crash it into something. Just make sure you get off. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it today, because I don't want to go too far into this. But if you are there and you're on that bus and the time has come where you are sick and tired of this shit, it is up to you to get your sick and tired ass up out of that seat and get off the bus. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being here. If you are in that hellhole right now and this message does not resonate with you, that's okay. You know, deal with whatever you're dealing with. Maybe save this for later when you're ready for that kick in the ass, when you've gotten to sick and tired. I totally understand. I would not have received this message necessarily very well a year ago, obviously. So that's it, friends. Deal with whatever you need to deal with. When you're sick and tired and you actually want something to change, get off the bus. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you as always. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever, and I'll see you all later.